What if I told you that every single problem in your life, big or small, stems from just one thing? And that if you could shift that one thing, your entire reality would begin to transform. Now, I know that sounds like a bold claim, but hear me out. Because whether you're struggling with your relationship, your finances, your health, or that endless feeling of I'm not where I should be in life, the root cause of it all is the same. It's not the world, it's not your circumstances, it's not even that person who drives you absolutely crazy. No. It's a lack of self-love. Yep, that's it. A lack of self-love. The one thing that causes all our pain, our struggle, and our endless chasing of something more is simply the absence of love for ourselves. So, today on I Love Me, the podcast, I want to take you on a journey into understanding why that is, how it plays out in real life, and most importantly, how you can start to change it. Because once you truly understand this, you'll never look at your problems the same way again.
Love, 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 I love me.
Simple, inspiring lessons in self-love. Hello, beautiful. It's Tamara here. Let's look at the root of every problem, the thing that most people don't realize. The degree to which we struggle in life is directly proportional to the degree of love we have for ourselves. I'll say that again. The degree to which we struggle in life is directly proportional to the degree of love that we have for ourselves. If our self-love tank is low, if deep down we feel unworthy, not enough, broken, or like we're somehow too much, life will keep mirroring that back to us. We'll attract experiences, people, and situations that confirm what we already believe about ourselves. Because life is always reflecting our inner world. For example, if you were made to feel as a child that you were the problem, maybe you were told you were too loud, too sensitive, too messy, too emotional, that energy doesn't just disappear when you grow up. It becomes the silent soundtrack running beneath everything you do. You might find yourself constantly trying to fix things or fix yourself. You might feel like life's always throwing challenges at you, like the world's against you somehow. But what's really happening is that deep down, a part of you still believes you are the problem. And so you keep attracting experiences that match that belief. Not because you're being punished, but because life is lovingly saying, hey, beautiful, this is the part of you that still needs your love. Now, let's flip it. Let's look at the life of someone who has cultivated deep self-love. Imagine someone who's built a healthy, steady relationship with themselves. They believe they're worthy, they trust that they're good enough, they accept their imperfections, and even love themselves through the messy moments. How do they show up in life? They go for the job they want because they believe they deserve to be there. They open their heart to love because they know they're lovable even when things get hard. They take risks. They're visible. They trust themselves to handle whatever comes their way. And yes, they still have problems. But the difference is they don't see those problems as evidence that something's wrong with them. Instead, they see those problems as invitations to grow, as opportunities to love themselves that little bit more deeply. Because that's what every problem really is. A mirror showing you the next place you're ready to love yourself. And this is where so many of us get stuck. Because often we get trapped in the story of the problem. The story of what happened, who said what went wrong, why it shouldn't have happened, why it's unfair, why it's too big to fix. And as long as we're tangled up in the story, we can't heal it, we can't resolve it, we can't move beyond it. Because the story keeps us focused on the past, on the outside, on everything we can't change. But here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of trying to fix the story, what if you paused and asked a different question? What if you asked, where is the self-love issue? Because truly, every problem in life is a self-love issue. It's always pointing to something deeper. Where am I separating from my truth? Where am I not seeing myself clearly? Where am I not valuing myself? Where am I not accepting myself in this moment? When you come back to that question, something powerful happens. The story starts to dissolve because the story only exists to get your attention. The problem only showed up to invite you into more self-love. That's it. And the moment you identify the self-love component, the moment you meet yourself with honesty, compassion, and presence, the problem loses its grip. Not because you fixed it, but because you no longer need it to get your attention. Now, let's be real. When you're in the thick of a problem, it doesn't feel all that loving. Life can feel hard when your partner walks out, when your finances crumble, when your anxiety hits so hard you can't get out of bed. It feels like the opposite of love. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you'll know I've been there. I too have fallen to the bottom of the well more than once. I get it. But here's the thing. Those difficult moments aren't punishments. They're messengers. They're showing you what still needs healing inside of you, what old story, what unhealed part, what unprocessed emotion is crying out for your love. Maybe that's the part of you who never felt seen. Maybe it's the little girl who learned that love had to be earned. Maybe it's the version of you who still feels like she's not enough no matter what she does. Those problems you're facing, they're not blocks. They're breadcrumbs leading you home to yourself. Let me give you a simple example. In my teens and 20s, I used to hate my nose. I thought it was too big, too prominent, and I spent years wishing I could change it. Every time I looked in the mirror, I'd zoom straight in on that one feature and feel wrong, unworthy, unattractive. I talk about this in episode 74 where I explore body dysmorphia. Of course, it wasn't about the nose. It was about the part of me that didn't believe I was beautiful or enough just as I was. And no amount of contouring or compliments could fix that. It wasn't until I began to do deep self-love work, writing love letters to myself, like I share in episode 76, healing old emotional wounds through the therapy work I now do with my clients, and learning to see myself with compassion, that I realized my nose wasn't the problem. My perception was. I was rejecting a part of me that simply needed to be loved. And the moment I stopped waging war on myself, that problem dissolved. That's the magic of self-love. It doesn't just soothe your pain, it transforms it. It helps you cultivate a completely new relationship with yourself, which impacts your whole world. For when you love yourself, you show up in the world very differently. Now, a lack of self-love shows up powerfully in relationships. If someone keeps attracting partners who can't commit, it's not just bad luck. It's usually a mirror for the part of them that hasn't yet fully committed to themselves, to their worth, to their truth, to loving themselves even in their darkest moments. Once that inner relationship changes, everything else follows, because the outer world can only ever reflect the love or lack of it that we hold inside. What I've come to learn over my 20 plus years as a self-love therapist, healing my own self-love issues and helping others do the same, is the purpose of life isn't to fix all your problems. It's to love yourself through them. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every I can't do this anymore moment is simply life inviting you to meet yourself more deeply, to love the scared parts, to hold the hurting parts, to forgive the parts that don't know any better. That's the spiritual journey we're all on. It's not about escaping your humanity. It's about embracing it fully, tenderly, courageously. And yes, it's emotional work, it's mental work, it's physical work, because emotions live in the body. It's trauma healing, nervous system regulation, inner child work, self-compassion. Learning to love yourself is the work of a lifetime. But it's also the most rewarding, liberating work you'll ever do. Because when you love yourself enough, you stop fighting life and start dancing with it instead. So, if you've been feeling weighed down by the same old struggles, if you're tired of trying to fix everything, if you're dealing with some deep physical or emotional problems in life, maybe the invitation isn't to fix anything at all. Maybe it's to love yourself exactly where you are, especially the messy bits. Because the moment you do, life begins to soften, solutions begin to appear, and your world starts reflecting back that love. That's what I help my clients do in my sessions, to uncover the hidden wounds beneath their challenges, to release old emotional baggage, and to finally feel at home within themselves again, so that whatever the problem they came to me with naturally resolves. Because like I said, any problem we experience in life can be traced back to a lack of self-love. So, instead of trying to fix the problem, what if we shifted our focus to loving ourselves through it? To being there for ourselves with tenderness and compassion, to speaking to ourselves with kindness instead of criticism, to doing the deeper healing work that lets us actually feel our worth again. Because when we do that, we're not just patching over the surface, we're going right to the root. It might not seem like whispering kind words to yourself or sitting in loving presence with your pain or exploring those old stories about your worthiness has anything to do with your real life problems, but it has everything to do with them. Think of your inner world like a garden. On the surface, you might see a few weeds, those reoccurring struggles, the patterns that just won't seem to go away. You can chop them down, and for a while it looks tidy, but they'll always grow back if the roots are still there. Those roots are your beliefs, the ones buried deep in the soil of your being. The stories you picked up as a child about not being enough or being too much or having to earn love. I share more about these beliefs in episode 2, Programmed for Love. Well, it's these beliefs that have grown into tangled roots of self-doubt, shame, fear. And until we're willing to get our hands in the soil, to dig down with curiosity and compassion, to tend to what's really there beneath the surface, those same problems will keep sprouting up again and again and again, usually in bigger and more chaotic ways. But when we bring love to those roots, when we hold them with patience, presence, and truth, something miraculous happens. The old weeds loosen, they release at the roots, so there is space for new life to grow. Because the moment you choose self-love, you're choosing to replant your inner garden with trust, worthiness, and peace. If that's the kind of healing you're craving, if you want the inside steps on how to heal through self-love so you can finally stop repeating the negative patterns, feel free to take a peek at my self-study programs on my website, gettingnaked.com.au. Every single one of them is designed to help you come into a healthier, more loving relationship with yourself so you can heal what needs to be healed. Or if you want my one-on-one support, book in for a self-love expansion session. These 90-minute sessions go deep in clearing away the most prominent belief that's keeping you in a lack of self-love cycle. You can learn more about how I work or book a one-on-one session via the link in the show notes. So, if you want to know how to solve the problems in your life, remember, every problem is just a doorway leading you back to yourself. Because self-love isn't the reward for solving your problems, it's the way you solve them.